The absence of overt abuse does not guarantee a healthy household. A parent can provide financially, meet all the basic needs, and avoid obvious harm while still creating an environment that is toxic or unstable. For example, chronic invalidation can be deeply damaging. This is when a child's feelings are dismissed, minimized, or rewritten. Over time, the child begins to doubt their perception and memory. Emotional neglect is equally damaging. Toxicity doesn't have to be cruelty, it can be absence. When a child's needs for connection and comfort are unmet, the child is forced to emotionally navigate the world alone. Control disguised as care is common and often goes unnoticed the longest. This is when independence is limited or even sabotaged. Guidance turns into pressure, and concern becomes justification for overreach. A parent may frame restriction as protection. You can't go because of safety reasons. Or if I do let you go, you're going to have to check in every hour. You're going to have to check in so frequently that you cannot have a good time because you're constantly watching the clock. Over time, the child becomes hyper aware, unable to relax, and learns that the parent is going to have disproportionate or even irrational reactions to normal development. The child begins to hide part of their life in order to avoid such reactions, which erodes trust in the relationship. These patterns are easy for outsiders to dismiss. At least they didn't hit you. From the outside, the basics seem covered, so the environment was good enough. But internally, the impact can be significant. Emotional harm is often harder to process than physical harm because it distorts perception, identity, and self trust. Many of today's so called disorders are actually reasonable responses to unsafe caregivers and environments. But the problem is, dysfunction has become so widespread that these responses are often normalized and pathologized. What no one is looking at is, why are these responses occurring? Children raised in these dynamics grow into adults who are often confused about their needs and perception. They may resort to people pleasing or being silent in order to maintain stability. The damage accumulates gradually, just as much through what didn't happen as what did. When estrangement stems from decades of control and emotional unsafety, it can be difficult to explain. There isn't one single event to point to. Instead, it's a long pattern of invalidation, absence, unpredictability, instability, volatility, erosion of self, and a distortion of reality. When people say, but they provided for you, it wasn't that bad, they're measuring visible reality, not lived experience. What people need to realize is a lot of human beings are very different behind closed doors than they are in public. They put on a fake face to the public. Authenticity is actually quite rare. Many of these people who are controlled by their image will actually sacrifice the relationship with their child before they let anything mess with that distorted self image. Health in a family is not defined by the absence of extremes. It is defined by the presence of respect, emotional safety, and space for a child to be their own separate person. Without these, a home can look stable externally, but be unstable internally. These patterns do not go away when a child becomes an adult either. In most cases, estrangement is not about past harm. It is due to ongoing harm, an inability to make changes, take accountability, or attempt repair. Recognizing that harm can exist without it being overt abuse can be a turning point for some. It allows someone to name their experience without self-doubt or feel the need to exaggerate. Instead of minimizing what happened to try to meet another's comfort, it becomes possible to stand in reality without accepting dismissal or ignorance. Distance or estrangement is not an overreaction. It is a reasonable response to a relationship that was harmful in all the ways that matter most. Have a good day.